Hey everyone, Ben here, and we're in the Super Formula Lights at Mugello for some of the most intense and competitive racing I've had on iRacing in a long time. The question is, will we survive to tell the tale? Well, we don't have long to find out as we're on the grid now, starting in our familiar P9 right in the mid-pack. The lights are about to go green, and right now in the cockpit I am just thinking about the long run down into T1. We're underway and I'm slightly sluggish off the start. Other drivers had a better reaction there, and I'm going to get jumped from behind at least one position, maybe more, but at least I'm going to have a little bit of space on the inside. Am I? Yeah, it looks like I've got enough space to time my braking. Big hit behind me in the rear view mirror. No idea how many drivers were caught up in that. For now, I'm trying to keep my nose clean, and I nearly lose my nose altogether as we get checked up there through T2. John Sabathos just slowing through the mid corner, but I was able to survive, unlike the drivers behind me where there was a big smash heading into T1. Other drivers like Alan Barton here having to take avoiding action into the gravel. One last time then, this is Raul Barrero just locking the brakes, colliding with Matt Decker. Both have their races ended. Straight back to the live action then on lap 1, and I'm trying my best not to lose contact with the drivers up ahead. The slipstream in this race is going to be absolutely critical. In these cars, you are at full throttle for an unbelievable amount of the lap, but just as I'm saying that, I'm coming under challenge from behind. This is Giacardi. He's going to be down my inside here into the very long hairpin, and yes, he's got the move done. He carried more speed through the mid part of the lap there. He was right underneath my rear wing. Not much I could do to defend there. I might have a little nibble back into the final corner, but really you have to prioritise a good exit through this corner. Again, very difficult. You've got to get on the gas as early as you can, and far from challenging Giacardi to get the position back, I look like I'm going to be under pressure from Benjamin Carlisle behind. We've popped up the TV camera to see the action from his perspective. He is closing in on me here in the slipstream. I'm going to come to the inside. It's side by side up ahead as well. I've got to the apex first. Can Carlisle hang it around the outside? Well, on this occasion he can't, and I'm able to hold P12 for now at least. You can see up ahead Giacardi has managed to get past John Sabathos as well, so we are trailing the rear wing of Sabathos once again. Giacardi up into the top 10. That's got to be my aim for this race, and there are enough cars up ahead fighting in close proximity for that to be a realistic aim in this race. Sabathos struggling through the right left there. That might give me a chance to tuck underneath his rear wing as we climb the hill here. Carlisle in close attention still behind. Any mistake from any one of us through these corners and there could be a huge pile-up. Very little time to react and respond if someone gets into an accident at these high speeds. Thankfully, everybody keeping their nose clean for now, as once again we're into one of these tricky hairpins at the end of the lap. You've got to get the car rotated. The sooner you can, the better able you are to get onto the gas and power out of the corner. And you can see we're all in the slipstream here, heading down into the final corner at the end of lap 2. Oh, and look at that, Sabathos locking up at the end of the lap. This could be then an opportunity if I can get out of the corner quickly and manage to time my gear shifts right to maximise my speed down the start-finish straight here. I am in the slipstream of Sabathos up ahead, but I'm not able to gain here. It's going to be 4 wide up ahead. Maybe it's a good thing that I've got a bit of breathing space here into the corner. I'm going to try and dive down to the inside, take advantage of the congested track up ahead. We are side by side with Sabathos there through the mid-corner, but he's going to have the high ground through the next turn, and he's able to hold on to the position. Thankfully, we weren't put under pressure by Carlisle at the same time. Incredibly, every driver there got through the corner safely. This is incredible racing here at Mugello. For now, we've just got to try and reset and manage to keep very close to this pack of cars up ahead. Oh, not that close though. We very nearly run straight in to the rear wing of Sabathos there. Got to take account of the aero wash coming through these corners as well. Carlisle still snapping at our ankles behind, trying to take advantage of that concertina effect there, where we got checked up in the high speed section. Thankfully, again, he thought better of it. If we'd gone side by side through there, well, that could have been a big disaster for both of us. We're now hard on the brakes again into the right hander, and I'm just trying to get a tighter line and a better exit than Sabathos up ahead. It looks as if I might have managed it. The gap 0.3 seconds, but again, Carlisle is just 0.4 seconds back in the rear view mirror. Once again then, absolutely critical to get a good run through here. Sabathos still struggling, another lock up there. Surely this time I'm going to be close enough to make a challenge into T1. Well, let's find out. The gap 0.3 seconds still as we cross the start finish line to begin lap 4. Let's see if we're able to close in. Yes, look at that. You can see we're catching at a rate of knots here. He's going to take to the inside line. I'm going to have to try and get around the outside. Let's go deep into the corner here, see if we can carry more speed around the outside, and we've gotten the move done. That was a fantastic pass into T1 there. More action up ahead, but I'm just concentrating on getting one position at a time done here, and we're up into P11. Let's take another look at it on replay. You can see the closing speeds are unbelievable in this series on the long straights. I'm able then to slingshot around the outside of the corner and actually get a better exit as well and claim the position as mine. On to lap 4 then, and you could just see up ahead there Nick Greenan making a mistake through the left-hander. That has given me something of an advantage here as we get into the final set of corners of lap 4, and again he's wide on exit. The gap 0.3 seconds, and that could be critical. It seems as if you need to be within 0.3 seconds getting onto the start finish straight to be really in the slipstream and stand a chance of getting through at T1. Well, that's the gap as we get onto the start finish straight again to round out lap 4. Can I close in on Greenan as we get ready for lap 5? Well, it looks as if I'm going to be able to. He is not benefiting from the slipstream up ahead. Here we go then, closing in again. Is it going to be a carbon copy move? On the brakes at the 50 board again, look to slingshot around the outside. Greenan quite early on the brakes there in T1, and that move was relatively straightforward. We're on a roll here. We're up into the top 10, and can I get up to the next pack of drivers? Well, before we find out, let's take a look at that pass then on Greenan, and you can see the slipstream just doing what I needed to do to get me into the zone where I can realistically attack around the outside. Greenan taking a very narrow line through the corner, and that gives me the position. Back to the live action then later on lap 5, and unfortunately I have not been able to break away from Greenan and the drivers behind, and that is going to put me under pressure as we get towards the end of this lap and begin lap 6. I'm not also close enough to the drivers up ahead to benefit from their slipstream, so I'm now at the head of this pack. It's going to be extremely challenging to keep the drivers behind into T1, but let's try our best as we get onto the start finish straight here then, and already Nick Greenan behind is shaping in the slipstream. He's come out of the slipstream, in fact. Is he going to pay a price for that as he pulls alongside as we cross the start finish line? But look at the overspeed. He's already disappeared from my rear view mirror. Let's pop up the TV camera and see this action then from the off-board shot. We're side by side through T1. He's swooping around the outside. This time he's going to have the inside line for the next corner. We're still side by side through the right-hander. I've just got to give him space on the outside. He's brave and he manages to hold the line. I'm going to have to ward off a move from John Sabathos as well into the left-hander there. Had to take the inside line, compromise my speed through the corner, but at least hold on to P11 there. Wow, that was tight and intense. Fair play to Nick Greenan there. Brilliant side-by-side racing through multiple corners. We were able to keep it clean. No incident points at all. Any collisions there, particularly in open wheel cars, and it was probably curtains for both of us. But as we're getting through again into the final sector of this lap, we now are tucked up behind Greenan. The gap around half a second. Sabathos 0.3 seconds behind. So it's absolutely crucial here through these corners that I don't make any kind of mistake, because if I fall back from Greenan, then I'm going to be into the jaws of Sabathos behind, and I'm going to have very little ability to defend. So let's find out what happens then as we get onto the start-finish straight again and into T1 on lap 7. You can see Greenan up ahead, slightly wide there through the final corner. I've managed to break away by a tenth or two from John Sabathos behind as well. So let's see if I can get back at Greenan and make my way back into the top 10 once again. We are closing in here, but I'm not as close as I was the previous time I was able to mount an overtake, and we're not going to be close enough. I dive to the inside more in hope than expectation, and unfortunately Greenan has more than got me covered there through T1, and I'm slightly wide into the chicane as well. That might compromise my exit speed there. So we fast forward later on in lap 7, and we're still tucked up behind Nick Greenan, and it might be the case that I get another chance on lap 8 to make that move into T1 stick, but that's only going to be the case if I'm able to get a good exit onto the start finish straight here. We're maybe not close enough. We are a tenth or two further back than I'd like to be into the final corner there, but we do get a decent run through. Sabathos 0.6 seconds behind, and he's got Benjamin Carlisle to deal with. My focus is on Nick Greenan up ahead, and that gap crucially is 0.3 seconds. That's the distance that you need, and I'm now closing into the first corner of the next lap here, then on the brakes again at 50 and swoop around the outside. This will be the third time I've made that maneuver in this race, and I am back up into P10. So again, these overtakes really built up over the previous set of corners to be close enough to maximise the slipstream, then just diving to the outside. The corner is so wide here at Mugello that there is speed you can carry through the outside. The kind of banking on the corner there really does help you out on the outside line, and the position was mine. We're on to lap 8 then, and again the gaps behind remain close. Unfortunately for me, Matteo Giaccardi up ahead, he's 4 seconds up the road. So this now is going to be our fight for the rest of the race, unless somebody up ahead has an accident or makes a big mistake. That's putting me at the head of this pack of cars. So once again, when we cross the start finish line this time around, everyone else behind is going to be benefiting from slipstreams, and I am not. Here we go then, let's see what happens. We've popped up the TV camera once again to see Nick Greenan's perspective here. He is around half a second back, so he might struggle here to get all the way alongside into T1, but we're about to find out. He is already closing before we've crossed the start finish line to get on to lap 9. Is he going to be fast enough in the slipstream to get alongside? Well, it looks as if I've just got a big enough gap. He is shaping to the inside there, but it would take a huge dive bomb and risk both of our races if he was to go for that move there. Thankfully he didn't. He's going to try and follow me in close proximity through this next couple of corners. I have to shift down a gear there as I was carrying too much speed. Greenan was carrying too much speed as well, and he collides with the barrier. Look at that, just pushing too hard. The margins for error here are very, very small indeed, and unfortunately for Greenan, after some fantastic racing together, that is essentially his race over. But no time for me to breathe. I was able to maintain the gap to Sabathos behind over the next couple of laps, but on this lap, lap 11, he has reeled me in, and now he is within that crucial gap behind of around 0.3, 0.4 seconds as we get onto the start finish straight then. There's only a couple of laps left in this race. Am I going to be able to hold on to this top 10 finish? Well, it's not looking good as we cross the start finish line to get onto lap 12. Look at the overspeed that Sabathos has, and he is clean past before we get anywhere near the braking zone. But speaking of brakes, he's locked up, and I have to check up mid-corner there. That was half an opportunity to maybe carry more speed down the inside there, but unfortunately I just had to get off the gas and get on the brakes to not run into his rear wing. We fast forward then later on the same lap. There's only going to be another lap to go then after this one Are we going to be able to get past John Sabathos and back up into the top 10? Well, let's find out as we get through the final corner, but actually I've gone in a little bit deep. I'm 0.6 seconds behind. That's not going to be close enough as we get the white flag to tell us that this is the final lap of the race. Look at Benjamin Carlisle behind. I'm not going to be challenging Sabathos here. I'm going to be under pressure for my P11 from Carlisle. He dives to the inside. I'm going to have to try and hold this around the outside here. Oh, it's going to be super tight on corner exit. He's actually got the better drive. I've got the better line though for the next corner, and there's nowhere for him to go. He has to get out of it, otherwise you'd have ran into my rear wing there. But this is going to be a three-way fight then through the final lap of this race for P10. Who's going to come out on top? Well, it's advantage Sabathos for now, but will he make a mistake towards the end? That's my only hope really. The big overtaking point on the circuit, that's gone now, so I'm going to have to just try and stick as close to him as I can as we get up the hill then for one last time through this exhilarating section of track. Sabathos there, slightly wide was he through that corner? Not quite sure. Let's get on the brakes again then, down into third gear just to get the car rotated through this right-left section, and yeah, it looks as if we have visibly closed in here, but the gap's still not down enough to be confident into this set of corners that will round out this final lap. Again, Sabathos looking slightly ragged through the hairpin. The gap now 0.6 seconds. I'm going to run out of time here. Benjamin Carlisle behind. He's over half a second back too. I'm not sure either of us are going to be close enough to make any impression on Sabathos here. Through the final corner we go. It's going to be Sabathos who will claim P10 in this race. I'm going to have to settle for P11, which on the face of things is a disappointing result. But how can you be disappointed after having had such awesome racing throughout that one? A close finish, but an even closer finish for some of the drivers up ahead. We're focused on the yellow livery of Quentin Lewis here, who said hi to me before the race and that he was a fan of the channel. Well, I'm a fan of close racing like this to the finish line. The battle is on for 5th, 6th and 7th, and Lewis just claims P6. Incredible. What a racing combination this is. So a P11, unfortunately nothing too spectacular to write home about in terms of finishing positions, but wow, did I enjoy that close battling all the way through the race, and actually to come away with just a 2x and get a bump to my safety rating, given how lethal the driving here can be. Well, I've got to be happy about that. And if you enjoyed this race, I'm sure you'll love one of the other race sessions that are up on screen now, and I will see you on the next one.